Imagine this, a president who cloaks his power grabs in shadowy secrecy, bombing neutral countries while preaching peace with honor, weaponizing the IRS and FBI agents against his enemies, and then getting caught in a bungled break-in that unravels the whole rotten empire. That is Richard Tricky Dick Nixon, the original master of the slow burn presidential grift. Fast forward to today and enter Donald Trump, Nixon 2.0, the upgrade nobody asked for. He doesn't bother with the shadows. No. Trump blasts his abuse on Truth Social for the world to see, skips the subtlety for spectacle, and turns every scandal into a rally chant. Watergate forced Nixon out. January 6th, Trump just waltzes back into the White House like it's no big deal. You might think history repeats itself, but oh no. This is no repeat. It's a remix with extra bombast. Nixon hid his enemies list in the Oval Office basement. Trump tweets his 24/7. Nixon stretched war powers with secret Cambodia bombings. Trump threatens Iran and Venezuela with fire and fury while eyeing the Insurrection Act for American streets. And the deaths? Kent State students gunned down under Nixon's Law and Order watch. Renee Good and Alex Pretty, Minneapolis protesters shot by federal goons amid Trump's anti-ICE crackdown. Coincidence? Please. Both presidents framed dissent as treason, sent in the troops, and watched the bodies pile up while denying everything with a straight face. Or, in Trump's case, an orange one. Tonight on UI Presents, we're peeling back the layers of this Nixon-Trump playbook. Why does it matter? Because if Nixon was the stealthy Cold War operator who got tripped up by tapes, Trump is the populist showman who survives impeachments, indictments, and insurrections. Is our system broken, or are we just watching the sequel with worse special effects? I'm Kyle Fields, and this is Nixon 2.0, the story of how presidential power went from Nixon's whisper to Trump's megaphone. Let's set the stage for this dumpster fire properly, because you can't appreciate the full absurdity without the backstory. Richard Nixon, elected in 1968 on the promises of Vietnamization. That magical word meaning we're sort of leaving Vietnam, but not really, was the technocrat's president. He talked silent majority, law and order, and ending the war, all while secretly expanding it into Cambodia and Laos. Raining death on neutral countries hidden from Congress and the public? Sure, why not? It's for peace with honor. Meanwhile, back home, student protests erupt and Nixon calls them the work of bums, and bums in the media egging them on. Kent State happens. 4 kids dead, National Guard rifles smoking, and Nixon barely blinks. Cut to Trump, re-elected in a landslide because apparently America loves a sequel. He's not subtle like Nixon. No Pentagon Papers leaks needed when you're live tweeting your threats. Iran? They'll be begging for a meeting after I bomb the hell out of them. Venezuela? Sanctions and covert ops to topple Maduro, all framed as saving democracy. Cuba? Tighten the screws because communists are bad, okay? It's the same Cold War hangover, but Trump serves it with McDonald's French fries and a Fox News chum. And the domestic unrest? Minneapolis, 2026. ICE agents in tactical gear shoot Renee Good, 37, and Alex Pretty, a VA nurse, just filming the arrest. Trump admin calls them violent agitators, domestic terrorists. Sound familiar? Minnesota's governor and mayor scream foul, but Trump's eyeing the Insurrection Act like it's his new toy. Nixon whispered enemies list. Trump broadcast enemy of the people. So why does this matter now, in March 2026, with Trump back in the Oval Office? Because the playbook hasn't changed. It's evolved. Nixon wrapped abuses in bureaucratic jargon. Trump slaps MAGA on them and sells tickets. Both expanded executive power on the sly. Nixon bombed Cambodia under flimsy Gulf of Tonkin pretext, prompting Congress to pass the War Powers Resolution in a futile attempt to rein him in. Trump? He ignores Congress for sanctions, drone strikes, and federal deployments, daring anyone to stop him. The result? A presidency that's less accountable, more theatrical. Institutions that ousted Nixon now bend for Trump, turning impeachment into theater and investigations into witch hunts. I'm digging into the documents, the timelines, the parallels. Because if we don't see the pattern, we're doomed to cheer the remix. This isn't ancient history. It's a live wire. Nixon resigned facing impeachment for obstruction, abuse of power, contempt of Congress. Trump? January 6th was his Watergate on steroids, a multi-pronged plot to steal an election per special counsel Jack Smith, fake electors, arm-twisting state officials, pressuring Pence and the DOJ, then sicking a mob on the Capitol. Nixon covered up a break-in. Trump orchestrated a coup attempt and golfed through it. Both lied about winding down chaos while fanning the flames. You might be wondering, how did we get here? Well, stick with me because it only gets juicier. Now we deep dive, because the devil and the comedy is in the details. Let's break down the core playbook. Foreign policy fakery, war powers wizardry, denial dances, madman theatrics, election crimes, and protest purges. Nixon 1.0, Vietnamization. Sounds like withdrawal, right? Wrong. Let's order off the secret operation menu. 3,800 B-52 sorties over Cambodia, 500,000 tons of bombs, more than all of World War II in Europe. While Nixon tells America the war's ending. Public speech on April 30th, 1970, we're striking enemy sanctuaries. Reality? Expanding the quagmire, sparking Kent State. Congress freaks passes war powers resolution. Nixon vetoes, Congress overrides. Classic overreach. Now, Trump or Nixon 2.0. Same script, brighter lights, Iran threats of strikes and to protect protesters mixed with let's talk deals. Venezuela, recognize Giotto. Sanctions galore, covert pressure framed as humanitarian heroism while destabilizing for fun. Cuba, more sanctions because why not? It's defending values, echoing Nixon's anti-commie crusade. War powers, Trump leans on unilateral sanctions, no-bid threats, and floats insurrection acts for domestic drama. Congress? Who needs them when you've got executive orders and rallies? Oh, the hilarity? Nixon hid the bombs. Trump announces them with fanfare. Both claim winding down while revving it up. How about shifting rationales? Nixon's specialty, Cambodia, limited incursion, then temporary, then oops, full invasion, denials until leaks force the truth. Trump, Minneapolis ISOP start as law and order, morphed into fighting terrorists after good and pretty get shot. Feds call them agitators. Video shows overzealous agents, untrained cowboys in body armor. Governor Walz blasts it as partisan narrative over safety. Trump pivots to weak Dems letting chaos reign. Sound like Nixon minimizing Kent State? You bet. Both presidents peddled fake news before it was cool. Now let's talk about unpredictability as strategy. Nixon's Madman theory, hint at nukes, bombs suddenly, keep Hanoi guessing. Secrecy was his jam. Trump, public whiplash. Iran, hell coming one day, beautiful talks the next. Minneapolis, leak insurrection act threats via media, create chaos, intimidate governors. It's Madman 2.0, strategic ambiguity on steroids, but with emojis. Enemies off balance, critics gaslit. Genius if you're a sociopath. Now, the big ones. Election dirt, Watergate, creep break-in at DNC, Nixon's crew caught red-handed. Cover-up supreme, CIA block, FBI hush, hush money, perjury. Tapes seal it. Expletive deleted. Becomes legend. Impeachment looms. Nixon quits. Trump. 2020 overturned saga. Smith's report. Pressure George's Raffensperger. Fake electors scheme. Pence arm twist. DOJ threats to declare fraud. January 6th. Fight like hell. Mob storms. Certification stalls. Trump watches on TV. Does nothing for hours. Nixon covered a burglary. Trump tried to burgle democracy itself. And survives? I believe that's called a systems upgrade. Protest crackdowns seal the sarcasm. Kent State post-Cambodia speech, campuses explode. Guard kills 4. Wounds 9. Nixon, law and order justified it. Protest as internal enemies. Minneapolis, anti-ICE protest. Feds roll in heavy. Good, shot running away. Pretty, filming arrest. Dead. Trump, violent leftists. Local probes, agents aggressive. Narrative crumbles. Parallel, eerily perfect. Both presidents demonize dissent. Deploy force, deny fallout. Think about the side-by-side. Nixon's foreign theater was Vietnam and Cambodia bombings. Trump's is Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba pressures. War powers for Nixon meant secret ops and stretching the Gulf of Tonkin. For Trump, it's sanctions and Insurrection Act flirtations. Their stories clashed with reality. Nixon pretended to wind down while expanding. Trump claimed protection while escalating. Nixon's unpredictability hid in Madman secrecy. Trump blasts out in tweet-sized whiplash. Election abuse? Watergate's cover-up led to Nixon's resignation. January 6th coup attempt let Trump survive and return. Protests turned deadly at Kent State under Nixon. Good and pretty shootings under Trump. And institutions? They ousted Nixon, but now fuel Trump's comeback. The parallels don't whisper, they shout. If you listen past the rally noise. This doesn't lie. The patterns are baked in. Nixon operated in shadows until Watergate's flashlight hit. Trump, floodlights came on and the audience is still cheering. Agencies abused. Nixon's IRS audits, CIA ploys. Trump's DOJ pressure, FBI smears. Both framed media and protest as traitors. But Trump escalates, turns accountability into deep state fodder. Wins anyways. Troubling? Understatement of the century. I pored over the files, timelines, reports. What emerges is a presidency unbound remixed for reality TV age. Counter-arguments? Sure. Nixon ended draft, opened China. Trump brokered the Abraham Accords. But that's window dressing. The abuses endure. Nixon constrained by elites. Trump remakes them. The meat here, power unchecked, grows bolder. From whispers to shouts, Nixon to Trump. So what have we uncovered in this Nixon 2.0 deep dive? A playbook refined over decades. Fake withdrawals masking escalations, war powers stretched like taffy, denials that would make a fox blush. Madman chaos for leverage, election meddling that makes Machiavelli jealous, and protest crackdowns leaving bodies in the street. All wrapped in patriotism. Nixon 1.0 hit it. Trump 2.0 flaunts it, turning scandals into merch. Kent State to good and pretty. Dissent painted as enemy. Force authorized. Truth buried. Watergate resignation versus January 6th comeback. Institutions are buckling. The implications? Sobering. Presidential power, once checked by bipartisan revulsion, now thrives on division. Trump doesn't resign, he rallies. Nixon's silent majority becomes MAGA millions. We've traded technocratic sneakiness for populist pageantry. But the grift's the same. Foreign foes get bombed or sanctioned under honor. Americans get labeled terrorists for protesting. War powers resolution? Cute relic. Impeachment? Slap on the wrist. Reflecting on this, I find the sarcasm almost writes itself. Nixon, the paranoid introvert, got by a tape. Trump, the extroverted con man, turns evidence into hoax gold. Both preyed on fear of communists then, the radical left now. The upgrade? Digital amplification. No more shadows. Full spectrum dominance via X and Fox. And Truth Social. The troubling truth? We let it happen. Congress snoozes. Courts dawdle. Voters cheer the show. Is democracy downgrading or just rebooting authoritarian? Here's my final thought. History doesn't repeat, but it does remix. With sarcasm. Nixon warned of the imperial presidency. Trump embodies it. We've synthesized the evidence. Parallels undeniable. Escalations glaring. Not definitive guilt, but a pattern screaming for scrutiny. As your host, I've laid it out. Question the narrative. Demand accountability. Because if Nixon 2.0 plays on, the encore might not end well. Think on that. This is UI Presents. Take care.